The time is 6:03, and I would like to call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. I would like to welcome those who are participating in the Board of Education meeting in person and those watching the meeting via live streaming on YouTube. We would ask that anyone addressing the board to please use the microphone at the podium and identify themselves for the record. As a reminder, the link to the meeting is on the district webpage under Board of Education. The streaming will run through the end of the meeting. In the event that there's a disruption in the streaming, I will pause the meeting until it is reestablished. Tonight we're pleased to welcome Gracelyn Padilla from Los Lunas Middle School and Matthias Pohl from Valencia Middle School to lead the pledge. Will you please come up?
We at Los Lunas Middle School are proud to introduce Gracelyn Padilla as the pledge leader this evening. Gracelyn is the daughter of Mrs. Shaylin Padilla and Mr. Elijah Padilla, and the proud older sister of Mr. Case Padilla. Gracelyn Padilla is an exceptional 8th grade student who exemplifies dedication and commitment to herself, her friends, and Los Lunas Middle School. She balances academics, leadership, and athletics with dedication and determination. She serves as the historian for Student Council, where she helps document events and preserve important moments for her school community. In addition to her leadership role, Gracelyn is a member of the track team, competing as a thrower and demonstrating strong commitment and work ethic. She takes pride in her academic achievements while staying actively involved in school activities. Looking ahead, Gracelyn aspires to attend college and pursue a career as a counselor or therapist with the goal of helping others and making a positive impact in people's lives. We are very proud of Gracelyn and know she has a bright future ahead of her. Matthias Pohl from Valencia Middle School, we are honored to introduce an exceptional 8th grader as our pledge leader for the 2025-2026 school year. Matthias Pohl is the son of Marla and Dominic Pohl. He is a loving big brother to his younger sister Julia, who attends Bosque Farms Elementary, and a younger brother Diego, who is a 7th grader at Valencia Middle School. Matthias is a dedicated and kind-hearted student. He exemplifies responsibility and care for others. As an active member of the Jaguar Athletic Program, Matthias has shown remarkable commitment playing for both the VHS-C team and junior varsity basketball teams. However, his impact extends beyond the court. As a peer buddy for the VMS Special Olympics team, he exemplifies true sportsmanship. His enthusiasm on the court during the basketball game on April 7th is a testament to his heart for service and his belief in an inclusive community. Outside of school, Matthias loves to stay active and explore the world around him. He spends much of his free time playing basketball or enjoying the great outdoors while camping, hunting, and fishing. When he is inside, he enjoys playing realistic hunting video games that challenge his skills. Whether he is playing a team sport or exploring nature, Matthias brings a sense of adventure and focus to everything he does. As he prepares for his transition to Valencia High School, Matthias is eager to expand his horizons through the Intro to Agriculture, Sheet Metal, and Pro Start programs. In his algebra class, Matthias is currently channeling his work ethic into a rigorous career research project. He has set his sights on the medical field, specifically exploring the paths of a surgeon or an anesthesiologist. With a maturity beyond his years, Matthias has embraced the reality of this journey, acknowledging that it requires over a decade of intensive study. Matthias' tireless work ethic and infectious positive attitude make him a natural role model. He does more than just meet expectations. He defines what it means to be the best of the best at Valencia Middle School.
Turn and lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Congratulations, this is like the break of the week. That's all right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Ms. Chavez, will you please announce the meeting?
This meeting has been announced in accordance with the New Mexico Open Meetings Act and the Los Lunas Schools Open Meetings Resolution and is a legally constituted meeting of the Los Lunas Schools Board of Education.
Ms. Chavez, are there any changes or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, there is one deletion to the agenda. We are removing item E, report on closed executive session held on April 27th, 2026. The executive session was canceled.
Okay, with that, I'd stand for a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Dr. Osowski to approve the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second by Member Dana Stewart? Sanders, I'm sorry. Ms. Seymour, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Osowski, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
And I vote yes. The agenda is approved by a vote to 5-0. Ms. Chavez, how many speakers have signed up to comment?
Board President, Mr. Otero, we have 2 speakers.
Okay, before we move to public comment, I would like to remind our audience the board's procedures for handling public comment, which are found on Board Policy B 2150 BEDH. Public comment is limited to 5 minutes per individual speaker. However, the board president may further restrict or waive these time limits based on the numbers of speakers. The board welcomes public input. The board does not prohibit public criticism or comment upon personal matters, but does discourage personal attacks on board members, staff, personnel, and other persons. Presenters are cautioned that statements or representations concerning others that convey an unjustly unfavorable impression may subject the presenter to civil action. Any person making public comments shall solely be responsible for the content of his or her comments. The board neither adopts nor assumes responsibility for any comments made by individuals during the public comment section of the board meeting. Okay, we have 2 individuals. Amber Rodriguez, will you please step up to the podium?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of Los Lunas School Board of Education, Superintendent Chavez. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening, as well as fellow community members. This evening, I'm going to say a prayer for our children and community during the summer months. Lord, we praise you for who you are. You are a God who guards our children and community. You, O God, are the one who protects us from harm and danger. You are the one who keeps watch over us and keeps us secure. I pray Psalms 91:11. For you, O Lord, will give your angels charge over us and our children this summer. You, O Lord, will keep them in all their ways. Psalm 97:10 says, hate evil, you who love the Creator, who keeps the souls of his holy ones he created, and delivers them from the hand of the wicked. May you, O Lord Creator, preserve the souls of our children during the summer months from the hand of the wicked. Isaiah 52:12 says, for you will not go out in haste or go out by flight, for the Lord your God will go before you, and the God of Israel will be your rear guard. Thank you, Creator God, that you will protect our children this summer and be their rear guard, protecting them from all unrighteousness. We pray for revival and spiritual, physical, and mental renewal for our children this summer. In Jesus' name, I pray all these prayers. Amen, and thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker would be Michaela Mitchell. Will you please step up to the podium?
Mr. President, members of the Los Lunas School Board of Education, Superintendent Chavez, thank you for the opportunity to speak about mental health awareness of Los Lunas High. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michaela, and today I am representing and advocating the students of Los Lunas High School. Today I will be advocating for my peers and sharing the opinions, suggestions, and expressions my peers have made. I would like to address the importance of students' mental health and how it can affect their own success. There's been studies showing that mental health issues can affect a student's academic success. A lot of students express that they are academically stressed, overworked, and tired. Allow me to pull up the data. A lot of students express that they want the school to prioritize their student needs. They expressed that they want less academic stress, more programs to help. Things like meeting with counselors. I've noticed a lot of students have expressed that the counselors at Los Lunas High are not as attentive, so they feel unprioritized. Bless you. They would like to have a mental break. A lot of students are tired, exhausted. They also expressed Tiger Day, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Let's see what else. Excuse me. A couple students expressed surveys. I created this assessment that students could go onto and express their opinions that is now being shared to the school board. So maybe I guess I'm actually asking if you guys could communicate to the administration of Los Lunas High, like Dr. Nimra Marquez, Story, etc. I would like to implement surveys all year round for the next years, so students can, instead expressing their anger and emotions on their peers and people around them, they can type it out. Students expressed more programs and options and also resources. At the end, my conclusion is students feel uncared about. And students should not have to force themselves to wake up in dread going to school the next day. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now we'll move to item G on the agenda, and that's approval of consent items. I would stand for a motion regarding consent items.
Mr. President,
Ms. Simoia,
I move that we approve the consent items with the exception of the following items. Finance Committee, item Q. 4D, approval of purchase, the Barnes & Noble books for PLC Leadership Cohort, Curriculum and Instruction, out of Fund 24101, Title I. Finance, item Q7, the approval of the MOU between New Mexico PED and Los Lunas Schools, Desert View Elementary for Numeracy Unlocks Math Rigor, a professional learning initiative, fund that's the 2025-2026, 2026-2027 school year. And finally, Finance Committee item Q8, approval of MOU between
Evolvement and Los Lunas Schools, Century High School, for Evolvement Partner Program, for NUPAC, that's the Nicotine Use Prevention and Control Program for 26 and 27 school year.
Ms. Seymour, on item, the first item, would that be item Q4A?
Q4A and Q4A, how's that sound? And then Q7 and Q8.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Seymour to approve all the consent items with the following exceptions. Item Q4A, approval of purchases, Barnes & Noble books for PLC Leadership's Cohort, Curriculum and Instructions, 24101, Title I. Item number Q7, approval of MOU between NMPED and Los Lunas Schools, Desert View Elementary for Numeracy Unlocks Math, Rigor, a Professional Learning Initiative, 2025-2026, 2026-2027. Item number Q8, approval of MOU between Evolvement and Los Lunas Schools Century High School for Evolvement Partner Program for NUPAC, Nicotine Use Prevention and Control Program, 2026-2027 school year. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a second by Dr. Osowski. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Seymour, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes?
And I vote yes. The consent items are approved. We'll move on to item number I, and that would be the Superintendent of Schools report. Susan D. Chavez, Superintendent.
Thank you, Board President Mr. Otero. I am very excited. We have many students in our audience tonight. I would love to have more students come to board meetings, so if you want something to do on Tuesday evenings, the second and fourth Tuesday evening of the month, please come and join us. We'd love to see you. So we're very excited to honor our 2026 Student Achievement Awards. The Los Lunas Schools Board of Education, in conjunction with the New Mexico Schools Board Association, NMSBA, annually selects a person or persons they feel have played a role in improving student achievement. This year, the Los Lunas Schools Board of Education chose 3 groups to honor. They have each gone above and beyond to further excellence through their commitment and contributions to their school, district, community, and state. The 3 groups selected to receive this award of distinction include, so I'm going to read the 3 groups and then I'll bring them up separately so we can take pictures. The 3 groups include LLHS Student Council, congratulations. JROTC Tiger Battalion. And JROTC Jaguar Battalion. So I'd like to invite our Los Lunas High School Student Council team and organization club up to the front. And we have a plaque for you, and we'll take pictures.
Bring it on up to them. Oh, do you want to go with them? And you can go and present it to them. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. I would like to invite our JROTC Tiger Battalion to the front. JROTC Jaguar Battalion. Please come to the front.
How come you guys don't smile? I'll show you my angry face. Here's my happy face.
So thank you to all of our three groups that were recognized this evening. I was able to attend the NMASC, New Mexico Association of Student Councils, state conference in February. It seems like it was just yesterday, but I'm sure all of you have slept so much since then because it was quite an event. Way to go, Tigers. You put on quite the show. Thank you. And this year, I was able to attend the military ball for the JROTCs, and it was quite a blast. I cannot wait until next year. Remind me of the name of the bowl? The Grog Bowl. Yeah, that was quite tasty. Just kidding. Thank you for being such a standout group in our community and always supporting everybody and all that they do. Thank you for what you do. Thank you all. I would like to invite Mr. Seiss, I think you'll have to introduce Mr. Hayes to the podium to introduce our newest state champions.
As I've grown accustomed to doing, Mr. President, members of the Los Schools Board of Education, Superintendent Chavez, thank you for the opportunity to speak out this evening. I am going to once again swiftly turn things over to Mr. Hayes, our athletic director, so he can deliver the great news that we have for you this evening. Thank you.
Mr. President, members of the Los Lunas Schools Board of Education, Superintendent Chavez, thank you for the opportunity to speak about our Valencia High School concert band this evening. If I could have our two directors come up and join me as well. We have Director Nathan Van Dam and Michelle Stanberry. Let's give them a round of applause. Next slide, please. So not only are we 2026 state champions in concert band, we were actually 2025 state champions as well. So back-to-back state championships is fantastic and is just very uncommon, so I think that deserves another round of applause for us. In doing all of this, I went and calculated their combined average cumulative GPA of a 3.72 for all these individuals that we're going to be introducing tonight. So I think that also deserves a huge round of applause. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our band directors. We have some certificates, and then to see if they'd like to say a couple words as well. Okay.
I have a job. I have one job. One job. I was going to make you go.
Mr. President, members of the Los Lunas Schools Board of Education, Superintendent Chavez, thank you for the opportunity to speak about the Valencia High School Wind Ensemble.
These students have worked incredibly hard all year, and obviously last year as well. And in fact, in addition to being state champions, had the highest score of any band from any class in this state this year. I speak for Ms. Stanbury and myself when I say we are so incredibly thankful that our school and our district administration and the school board has taken a chance on a couple kids from Chicago to make excellence, that's us, to make excellence in music education here in Valencia County. Now
Yeah.
Yeah, now the things. They should be in order. Cool. They're not all here. Okay, that's. We have 24? 24 students in the Valencia High School Wind Ensemble. It is the elite pre-collegiate ensemble in the state.
Apparently.
Read them anyway. On flute, Alfonso Talavera Pratt.
Not here.
On flute, Daisy Gonzalez.
Also not here. A lot of our students work. Yes.
On flute, Daniela Hinojos Guzman.
Also not here.
On clarinet, Yaritza Alvarez Torres. On clarinet, Laila Gallegos. On clarinet, Jadine Rios Hernandez. On bass clarinet, Marlia Klobuchar. On alto saxophone, Donna Ariola. On alto saxophone, Astrid Arango. On tenor saxophone, Anthony Chacon. On baritone saxophone, Nevea Lueras. On trumpet, Nathaniel Ortega. Also on trumpet, Landon Silva. On trumpet, Brian Martinez. On French horn, Jacob Garcia. I'm pretty sure he's at a baseball game. On French horn, Sebastian Quevedo. Of note, Sebastian Quevedo also manages the Valencia Band's Instagram account and all other social media. On trombone, Travis Pohl. On trombone, Ryan Saavedra.
Yeah.
On trombone, Rowan Kennedy. On percussion, Eric Arvizo Jaime. On percussion, Ronald Padilla. On percussion, Emma Simmons. And our final member on percussion, Chad Warren.
Y'all need to go. You know each other.
That's what we're supposed to do. Sorry, thank you, thank you.
Good job, Jaguars.
Same time next year, guys? Same time next year?
No pressure,
No pressure. Oh, sorry, all right. All right. Same time next year, y'all, right?
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Really good job, we appreciate it.
Great job.
Great job, you guys. Congratulations. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you for what you do.
Gonna make comments with the leaders.
Thank you. Well, hey.
Yeah, just, I was gonna make sure, well, I was gonna have us all make comments, but
Nobody's gonna.
that's all right.
Congratulations,
Thank
guys.
you so much. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations. You're part of it, guys. Congratulations. Thank you so very much. Thank you. It's well deserved.
You know what?
Thank you. Oh, absolutely. Thank you. To make sure they're applying for that CBMA scholarship. Okay, that's the Combat Vets Motorcycle Association. There's one.
Do you remember? So I want.
Haven't looked into that. Thank you for their work. Yeah, for the adult sponsorship. We appreciate it.
I handed that to you. It's down to 5. It is? Did you know?
That's a good type of package.
Take it. We'll take it. Put that in the plus column for when we have a bad pack.
That was a because. So, I'm just saying. I don't even know what they gave me until black.
We were just saying, hi. And then they're gone. It's nothing personal.
That's right.
Oh, they're so happy. So, next on our agenda is the construction update, and that will be presented by Ms. Sandy Tracek.
Okay, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. So here is the construction update for April. And the first slide, we have projects around the district. We have Sundance Concrete. There was concrete added to the front of the school to enhance the student drop-off and pickup areas. Also, there was plumbing repairs to Tomei Elementary. The plumbing vents, where there was discovered that there were some cracks, and so that has been repaired. Also, the Valencia Athletic and Bus parking lot, cracks were filled, added asphalt to the cracks. Then the auxiliary gym lighting at Valencia High School improvements. The fixtures have been ordered, and the installation will be coming soon. Okay, next, Peralta. Okay, the next site is Peralta, and Peralta is so close to being completed. At the front parking lot is now been opened for use. Okay, RG Library refresh. Has been completed, the repairs to the roof, the new ceiling tiles, new bookshelves, and new flooring, and it is now back open to the students. Okay, Sundance Playground, this is the last school to add in the inclusive playground equipment, has now been installed. And Ann Parish Elementary, the design completed for the playground. This reflects the choices for the playground equipment. However, the colors are not the correct colors. Okay, if you have any questions?
I have one regarding the Ann Parish Playground. Was there community input in the design, the preferred equipment, et cetera?
You know, there's community members, there is teachers, a group of people who get together. And then they all have input in it. So there is a lot of, on all of the design for Ann Parish, there's been a lot of input. Not necessarily everything requested will happen, but there has been a lot of input.
One of the comments I received from a parent was, will there be sufficient shade? Because I guess it's pretty hot out in that playground, so I didn't see it in the rendering, so I'm assuming this will come eventually, or if this was part of the consideration.
I believe there's like some little bits of shade, but yes, if anything would have to be added afterwards, so.
All right, we might want to take a look at that. That's all I had. But thank you, Sam.
I have a couple of questions. On the RGE library refresh, we lost access to the library over a storm, is that correct?
That is correct. There was a few rainstorms, very powerful rainstorms in September, October timeframe, and so there was major roof damage. So we were able to repair the roof and the interior because there was damage inside as well. So our students and our staff are very anxious to be back in, or they were anxious because they weren't able to access the library, and now they're very excited to be back in the library.
So they could not access it while we were doing the repairs, so it's been out of commission since the beginning of the school year.
It has. So it took quite some time. It was a process to ensure that it was done correctly and to ensure that the roof dried properly.
On the Sundance Playground, the equipment here, this is the equipment that the board approved last year that is appropriate for all of our special ed students, is that correct?
Correct. And so
Okay.
this is the last, finally, all of them have been installed, so they had periodically had installations scheduled, and
Well, and it's not really the last. The board requested one of those cozy city things that is for Sensory. It's still not here, I've noticed.
Oh.
So after,
let me write that down and
please
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Look into that.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you very
Tiffany
much.
can answer the next time, she's the one.
Thank you very much.
I've just got a comment. It's so good that we spend money on playgrounds. I just saw a documentary recently that was regarding the demise of recess. And many schools across the country have cut recess out because they're too busy testing, they're too busy doing academics, and the kids are burned out.
Wow.
And so recess and a little recreation in the middle of the day is actually good for academics. And I'm glad that we are supporting that.
Great.
Any comments? No? I don't have any comments.
Next.
You know, I just want to thank you for, and the staff for getting a lot done. You know, I know we have a lot going on, but it's all for the benefit of our students. Thank you.
Ms. Tracek will return back to the podium to provide the budget, finance, and audit reports for this month.
Okay, expenses first. Hey, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. So, as we do each month, going over the expenses, kind of where we're at now.
Bless you.
I'll remind you of the column that you have. You see all those blue areas, and that is because now that our audit has been completed, our cash bars for the funds that actually have cash, they are being adjusted, comparing for where we budgeted the cash to be versus the actual, how we ended the cash. Bless you. And so, so because of those, if you go down to the end, we actually have a larger percentage remaining for the budget than we did in the prior month. Normally, you see it slowly going down. Now it's gone up because I'm taking into account what those funds will be after we receive the budget authority to be able to spend those funds. Let's go to revenue. Okay, the next slide shows the revenue. Shows the revenue that we have received in total, the amount of revenue that we received that was based on the prior year. So some funds, like if we put in an RFR in June, it is not going to get paid until July. So those types of funds. So when we're looking at the budgeted revenue, it's what we are expecting to receive for that year's award. So then it looks at total revenue less the prior year revenue gives you the remaining balance of the current revenue, and then the balance and then the percentage remaining. I did not update the revenue side of anything on, but the bars are actually cash bars, so they wouldn't be shown, those differences of the blue, because this is just the revenue, not anything to do with the cash. Okay, do you have any questions on those reports? No. Okay, then I guess I will switch then to the audit committee. So the audit committee did meet yesterday, and we did go over, as the committee, the quotes that we have received for next year's audit. And so we met for that, and then later on, we met for this special audit. So, and tonight you will be receiving a presentation on our normal audit. Has been completed, it is finalized, and so we'll have a presentation to present to the board on our audit, our normal annual audit. So, and do you have any questions on?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Tracek. So I cannot believe we're the end of April. I don't know where the spring has gone. The summative assessment window will soon conclude. The final end-of-year assessments will be complete by the middle of May. We continue to wish all our students well on their assessments. As we near our last month of the 2025-2026 school year, we continue to prepare for the 2026-2027 school year. We are registering returning and new students at our school sites. Pre-kindergarten and kindergarten registration for next school year is ongoing. Preparations continue for the transition to Synergy, our new student information system. I would like to thank our accountability team for all their work and effort behind the scenes during this transition. We will be communicating more information to our parents, our staff, and our students in the coming months, so that way we are prepared and we continue to communicate the changes that will occur. End of the year ceremonies, including academic awards, robing ceremonies, and commencements will be occurring in the coming weeks. We look forward to celebrating our students' achievements. This Friday, May 1st, is our annual Los Lunas Schools Employee Gala. We are excited to celebrate our employees and their achievements. The spring sports regular season is nearing the end. We wish all our spring teams well during their district play. We celebrated them earlier, but I'd like to once again recognize our VHS concert band on earning a back-to-back state championship. We know they'll be back next year with back-to-back-to-back champions, and we are continually impressed by our student musicians. We also celebrated our Tiger and Jaguar battalions earlier. I just want to once again commend them for all they do for our schools and our community. Congratulations are in order. We have another state champion who will be at our meeting next month. She is a multi-sport athlete, so she is on the field currently, so she wasn't able to be here tonight. Congratulations to our powerlifting state champion, Adriana Burney. She represented our JAGs at the recent state powerlifting tournament. She was the champion at the 103-pound weight class. We've had a few clubs participate in national competitions in recent weeks. We would like to congratulate our DECA, HOSA, and JAG and Tiger battalions. Congratulations and thank you for representing Los Lunas schools so proudly. Commencement ceremonies for CHS, VHS, and LLHS are on Monday, May 18th at the UNM pit. We will once again live stream our graduation ceremonies on our YouTube channel. We look forward to celebrating our seniors next month. The end of the school year brings much excitement and busy days. I want to remind our students to follow school rules and make positive choices. We want our students to have a safe and successful end of the school year. Next week is Educator Appreciation Week. We look forward to celebrating our educators. Thank you to our employees and our school board for all you do for our district. And this concludes my report for this evening.
All right, we'll go to item J, the agenda, that's board commendations. Ms. Sanders?
Well, Ms. Chavez stole it all right there again. Even if I'm first, I'm last. Anyway, just want to say, thank you to all of the staff in Los Lunas, and again, sticking with it for this last month. It's tough, but you're almost there. Just a little bit further up the hill. Do not let that big rock roll you back down. We'll get there, and I'm looking forward to Friday and honoring all of our employees. So,
Simoya?
Absolutely. First of all, I'd like to go ahead and extend an appreciation for Ms. Tracek's team and the members that participate in the audit committee, including our board members. Wow, that's been long in coming, and I appreciate what you guys do on that audit committee. As the young lady who spoke about Mental Health Month, Awareness Month for our students for this month, be aware of not only the students, take care of them, but take care of yourselves as well, educators, everybody that is involved. You're coming to the end, you get a little bit of a break. It's not as long as it used to. I'm so sorry for that. But I do appreciate everything that you all do. So be sure to take care of yourself, little things, and watch out for those students, because this is the time of year that they get crazy and we lose them every year, and I don't want them to see that in the newspaper this year. So thank you guys.
Mr. Vickers?
They both said exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, yes. I get home some new.
Mrs. Sosky?
First of all, happy School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. Today is Bus Driver Appreciation Day, and we could not get all of our little guys to school and big guys to school without these people who show up. And today, as I was driving in from an appointment, I had a bus in front of me, and all these kids were waving at me, and it was just delightful to see. So I want to extend congratulations and appreciation for their work. We also had a Special Olympics event this last weekend, and we had soccer. Plus, we had a pep band out there. I believe the Jaguar pep band was out. So I want to thank you guys for supporting that and keeping that constantly on our calendar every year. It's a good thing to have. Although it was Mrs. Chavez recognized some of our ROTC kids competing at the Nationals. One student, Cadet Captain Allen, actually won the life bow. I don't know what that means. It sounds impressive. He won it, and it's at Nationals, so I want to raise that one. Also, I'm really proud of our mariachi band. This is their first year, their debut year. Mrs. Chavez spoke that they performed for the student council, correct? was it
They
student?
performed at the Music in the Schools concert.
Music in the schools. But they also got to open for UNM's mariachi concert. So that's kind of a big deal for a brand-new group to be out there. I happen to know a few of those kids, and they're asked to really stretch their talents. We had some second and third place winners at Los Angeles High School in powerlifting. I'm very proud of those 3 individuals. And we had 4 seniors from VHS's ROTC who were sworn into the U.S. Army over this last couple of weeks. So I want to thank them and congratulate them and appreciate their service to our nation. And that's all I have.
Okay, and once again, I'm just thankful. So thanks to the staff, thanks to the students, and thanks to the kids that came today. We'll move on to item K, that's a presentation and acceptance of Los Angeles Schools independent audit ending June 30th, 2025.
Ms. Tracek, will you introduce the audit?
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez, so we have Scott Ellison from JAG Accounting who'd like to give our presentation for our regular audit.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, and Superintendent. My name is Scott Eliason. I'm a partner with the Jaramillo Accounting Group, and here to go over the results of the annual financial statement audit. But before I get into that, I drove up and with my big truck, and there's no parking spots here. What is everybody doing here tonight? Are they here for the audit? That's what I was thinking. And so then I managed to squeeze my truck in between a couple of cars, and I came in, and yep, sure enough, all kinds of people in here, and I kept pinching myself. They're all here for the audit. But then I found out here they were here for awards for the great things that they're doing as students, so I was really happy to see that. Maybe next time they'll be here for the audit. But I see at least a few people stayed for the audit. And so we're going to just talk about some of the required communication. So the state audit rule requires that after the audit report is released, the auditor is to come to the entity, the governmental entity under audit, in this case Los Angeles Schools, and go over the results of the audit. And so we're going to just go through a few things. And we do have a 108-page report. I think everybody got it. Did everybody get it?
We read it all.
All the way through?
Memorized it.
Okay, so I can ask questions here in a bit?
There's a test in the back, I heard.
Okay, this is going to be an exciting night. So there's just some things to talk about here. The scope of the audit itself, it's really a 3-part audit. It's the financial statement audit, which makes up probably the bulk of the work, which is the numbers that go in the financial statements and creation of the financial statements. And the second piece, you see up there, it says UGG, that's the Uniform Grant Guidance. The district, of course, gets federal programs, and since it's over the threshold of, in this fiscal year, $750,000 is the threshold. This year, 26, it's $1 million, but the district is well over the threshold, so they will probably always get a federal audit. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then the last piece that says OSA, that's the Office of the State Auditor. The state auditor produces every year an audit rule, and they make changes every year to it. And we as auditors are required to look at the type of governmental entity that's under audit and go back to the audit rule and see what's applicable as far as audit goes. And so there are areas that we look at specifically, like the School Personnel Act, which has probably about 8 different things that we would look at and test under the state audit rule. Then we also test procurement, travel and per diem. If you have gas cards, we'll test a sample of those, or purchasing cards. We test, the payment to the Education Retirement Board and the payment to the Retiree Healthcare Authority. There's just a number of different tests, and that takes up a piece of the audit. So really, look at the audit as 3 pieces, and we'll delve more into that here in a bit. Next slide. So this is our audit approach. It's a risk-based approach. You can see that there's sort of three balls up there. The one on the left is called the Governmental Accounting Standards Board pronouncements. So the audit has, in fact, the Standards Board has been working really hard. They're up to number 103 for this next audit. So 101 and 102 were adopted in this audit, and we'll talk about the impact of GASB 101 on this audit. Then, of course, the second piece is control. So the district has an internal control structure that has a number of different transaction cycles within it. So you'll see things like the cash receipting transaction cycle. You'll see the operating disbursements transaction cycle, the payroll transaction cycle. Journal entries are made, that's part of a transaction cycle. Financial close and reporting, which includes journal entries and bank reconciliations. And then we add in, what are the risks to the organization, primarily from a financial statement perspective. Shake that all up, and that creates our audit approach, and which our audit approach has a lot of different aspects to it, but it has a lot of sampling. So we do statistical samples, and Sandy and her team pull hundreds of documents for us. I know that they're always excited every year to pull documents, but there's a lot of documents that we'll go through in these different transaction cycles to do our testing, and we do direct testing. We send confirmations off to the bank to look at the bank balance and assert that the bank asserts back to us independently that, yes, that's the correct bank balance. There's just a whole number of different techniques we go through. Ultimately, a walkaway that you have to be aware of is the audit is not designed to detect fraud. However, if there are fraud risk factors, we do follow up on those and expand on our test work. Next slide. So the timing of the audit, for this last year's audit, it started with the contract signing on April 28th. We did some planning in June. We tested the internal control structure and the compliance structure in July and August. The federal program, one major federal program, which was the Child Nutrition Cluster in September, and then the account balance testing, which happened in between September and mid-November. This year, the federal government came out very late with their compliance guidance for the federal programs. They normally come out in May, but they did not come out this last year until after Thanksgiving. So as a result, the state auditor pushed all the deadlines back to January 20th. And so we submitted by January 20th, and it was released by the state auditor's office after their desk review on March 27th. Next slide. So some things to talk about here. The auditor's opinions in the report. At the very front of the financial statements, you'll find the independent auditor's report. That covers about 3 pages. I think that a couple of takeaways would be that we have an unmodified or clean opinion on the independent auditor's report for the financial statements. And 2 other takeaways would be that management has a responsibility for the financial statements, which is to go ahead and take responsibility for the financial statements, and also to design an effective internal control structure as part of the process, for which we look at, and also I'll assert right now that they do have an effective internal control structure. And then the same thing for the major federal programs. We look at internal control and then also compliance, and come up with an opinion on the major federal programs, which issue an unmodified or clean opinion on the federal program, the Child Nutrition Cluster that we audited this last year. And then on government auditing standards, generally it says GAGAS. We have lots of acronyms. I think we actually have more acronyms than the education system has. And that's quite a challenge, isn't it? But we do have a lot of acronyms. So the Generally Accepted Government Auditing Standards Report on internal control, if there were any findings related to internal control or compliance, we would have those summarized in that section. Next slide. And we're here to assert that we are independent of Los Lunas Schools, and so we're not aware of any independence issues that would impair our independence. Next slide. Findings. Everybody wants to know about findings, right? In the prior year, there were 3 findings, all of which were resolved, and in the current year, there were no findings.
Yay.
I can just end right now, right? And this is required communication that we're required to have with the governing body. So we look at the accounting policies, for which the accounting policies, if you're interested, they're in the financial statements, and anybody out in the audience that wants to get a copy of this report, go to the state auditor's office and just in their search box, type in Los Lunas Schools, and you can find the last 20 years of financial statements in there. And, you know, it's a good read late at night. So significant accounting policies, they're in here, covers probably 5 or 6 pages. And next slide, it shows here that, you know, they're responsible for the selection, and there are nothing unusual with the selection. Typically what you'd expect to see for a school district. There is one new accounting standard that was adopted this last year, required for adoption, uncompensated absences. The compensated absences added an additional accrual for estimated sick leave that would be used in the future. So that sick leave's not necessarily paid out when you leave, but it's now accrued for which you say you've earned sick leave during your period of performance, but based on past usage, an estimate is made to what would be used in the future, and that's accrued. In the financial statements, there's not an actual cash outlay that's required at that time, but we did add that accrual in, and it was about $8 million for an additional accrual for sick leave. Those accruals are included in the entity-wide or government-wide financial statements. So in these financial statements, you'll find that up front, there are full accrual statements, and then there's what's called, so that has everything in it, that has debt, capital assets, it has your unfunded pro rata portion of your pension and retiree health care liability, and you know, debt, general obligation bond debt, so that the full accrual statements are up front, which pick up this additional compensated absences, and then behind it will be some major funds on a modified accrual basis that pick up, just start with the district's essentially cash basis numbers in the funds, and then we pick up the payables and the receivables in those fund statements. And why are these statements so large? Well, it's because the district has so many funds. So virtually every funding source is presented in here, a balance sheet and income statement for every funding source. And I don't know, there's probably 60 funds, something like that, I would say, within these financial statements. So a lot of funds that have to be balanced every month and at year end that accounting does. Next slide. So we look at judgments and accounting estimates. And next slide here shows the accounting judgments and estimates in here. Useful life of capital assets, the Education Retirement Board and the other post-employment benefit liabilities, which are an estimate based on actuarial studies and an estimated sick leave usage. So there are some estimates in the financial statements. Next slide. Difficulties encountered? No difficulties. Next slide shows that. Right there, no difficulties. And next slide. Other matters to be communicated, audit adjustments. I don't believe we had any audit adjustments. It was a clean audit. Next slide, you'll see that there are no corrected misstatements or uncorrected misstatements in the financial statements. We believe that they're materially correct. Next slide. Oh, you guys, did you see how creative we are? That was pretty creative. As accountants say, communication with governing body, disagreements. There were no disagreements with management. Next slide. And then next slide. Not aware of any consultation with any other audit firms, no opinion shopping. Next slide. And that covers what we're required to communicate under the state audit rule. Happy to answer any questions that anybody has on the financial statements and the audit report. Just so remember, you guys get sometimes more than one audit in a year, different types of audits, but this here tonight is the financial statement audit.
Questions?
I do have a question. Can you talk about the estimate of sick leave usage? What is involved there?
So it's a look back at 3 previous years to get an average of what sick leave had been used. And so management went through a process to compile all the sick leave for every single employee. And what kind of sick leave did they use, and what kind of sick leave have they earned, and look at how that was an estimate into the future. And so that created an accrual in the financial statements. I know it's a large number, but that's not something you're actually paying out with cash. When somebody does take that sick leave, they get paid for the day as part of their salary. But that's just a requirement now to show the impact of the sick leave policy and how much sick leave actually does happen. I know you have lots of employees, so that number adds up.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you very
Thank you,
much for
sir.
the presentation. I
Thank you.
appreciated the colors and, stuff to keep us awake and alert. It was very nice, very good.
I'm colorblind, they tell me it's very nice. but-
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, any questions? If you have any questions on the numbers in here, just reach out to Sandy, and she's pretty solid on these financial statements, so she can answer questions, right? Okay, well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I would stand for a motion to accept the independent audit report.
So moved.
We have a motion by Dr. Osowski. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Sanders. Ms. Seymour, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The audit was accepted by a vote of 5-0. Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll move to item L on the agenda. That's presentation and approval of budget for 2026, 2027 fiscal year.
How you doing, Sam?
Thank you, Ms. Tracek.
Okay. Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez, another round at our budget
But
presentation.
isn't this the last
It could be.
of this year?
I'm hoping that is
Remember
true.
that, remember that rock?
Okay, budget requirements. The budget will begin July 1st, 26, and will end June 30th, 27, as always, every year, and ends on the same. It must demonstrate public awareness, it must be balanced, and the BED has set our due date for May 14th at 8 a.m., and it all must be approved by the PED prior to July 1st. And the next one talks about the manual of procedures, talking about what the budget is. The budget is just a statement expressed in financial terms. And it's a tool for planning, making sure that we have a plan so we don't overspend or anything. We kind of have something set in place that you approve. With any changes that we make to the budget, bars come through later. So, the budget timeline, it starts at the very beginning when we met in beginning of February with our principals and talked about the budget. We also had our spring budget that told us about some legislative changes and any changes in the system. We had our first board work session in April, another at the end, mid-April, a regular board meeting presentation, a parent public meeting on April 20th, the NEA on April 21st, and we are now at our second presentation today on the 28th, and our budget is again due on May 14th. Some legislative bills and the NIMSI increases information. SB 151 said that employees should receive on average a 1% salary increase, and at least 1% has been put into this budget that I'm presenting today. HB 47, all employees are now going to be on a 80-20 split where the district pays 80% of the premium, 20% is paid by the employee. And this insurance changed because in the past, depending on how much you made, fell into how much your distribution was going to be. That will now take into effect on July 1st. Next, the medical insurance is increasing 9.95% for both the employee and the employer, and that will take effect October 1st. Same for the dental, the increase will be 4% for both the employee and the employer, and that will take effect October 1st. It is estimated that the cost increase to the district for both the insurance split and the increased percentage is $2.5 million for the district and $2.2 million for operational. Our risk insurance is increased, it is estimated at 13%. We do have a bill in, it is the estimated bill. We will receive a final bill that we'll pay, and sometimes there are minor changes, not expecting much of a change. And that is, and the estimate is at $332,500. Okay, this is an example of the medical insurance increase, because I know sometimes it causes confusion, so I kind of picked out just one. We have our Blue Cross Blue Shield high option. And if you go for single employee per month, it shows what the employee is currently paying this fiscal year for that insurance. If you, then you see what we're currently paying as a district for that insurance, and the total of what they pay and what the employee pays and what we pay is the total premium that we're currently paying, which is that $1,115. And I can't see the cents from here. And if you take the 9.95% increase to the premium, you see the $1,222. That will be the new premium for anyone who chooses Blue Cross Blue Shield high option for a single employee. And if you take that increased premium and you split it 80-20, you now have the employee paying their 20%, which is, I believe, the $245, and the district paying their percentage, and you can see how the two total up are now at the amount. And if you compare the top employee payment per month, and then you see the district employee, you can see both of them have increased the 9.95%. Okay, this is a page out of the NMSIA book that I received, and this is a historical premium rate increases. So you can see over the years, there's always been an increase, and you can see at the different areas. Not always, there always hasn't been a dental increase, and then years ago, they used to kind of have the increase a different high versus low option. Now it's just straight this year, this next fiscal year, it is going to be the 9.9% for medical and 4% for dental. Okay, historical, this is the risk insurance increases. So starting each year, these are not the estimated amounts, except for the current year. That bill is still estimated. But these are actually what we pay to NMSIA for our risk insurances.
So currently, we pay NMSIA $2.8 million, almost $2.9 million.
Just for our insurances. This is not our medical or dental insurance. This is, and you can.
If I can interject really quick too, it isn't all necessarily tied to any behaviors from Los Lunas schools or the district. There is a huge increase across the country in stop loss premiums. The risk, basically that is the risk behind the paper that says we'll cap it at a certain level. Every stop loss carrier is seeing significant losses over the last 10 years, specifically in the last 3. And so this is what is adding to the cost of risk insurance for, the schools, our property and casualty risk insurance, your auto insurance, your health insurance as well.
So there's been significant losses in the last 3 years. And so they are having to recoup some of those losses, so.
Yes, and you can kind of see, if you look at years ago, kind of a lower percentage increase, and then you can see in the 24, 25, a large increase. And it kind of looks like it continues in the following years. And then if you, at the bottom, I have kind of just, if you look at fiscal '22 versus up to '27, you see a $1.1 million increase. This next slide is something that we received at the spring budget workshop, where they showed how statewide our enrollment is going down as a state. And I put that slide in just so, because you're going to see the same thing for Las Lunas. And so it's not anything that is happening just in Las Lunas. You can see it's happening statewide also. So if you could show the Las Lunas, kind of almost mirrors what's happening in the state. These numbers here on for Las Lunas shows in the 25, you can see at this point when we were doing the budget for last year where our membership was and where it is now. So you can see that quite a bit of a decline from one year to the next.
Ms. Tracer, I'd like to interject on that note. We are monitoring where our students are going as far as their disenrollments. We have seen a number of students move out of state. We have seen a number of students move to other school districts within the state. And we've also seen an increase in the number of students who are attending virtual academies. So that number is on the rise. The last data point that we have looked at is the number of students who have withdrawn or been dropped due to non-attendance. So they missed an excessive amount of school, and we continue to work with their families, but that has been another area that we are looking at. We are actively looking at our enrollment. We're monitoring it every week. We are monitoring how many students register in pre-K and kindergarten, as well as 1st through 12th grade, so we will share that information with you on a weekly basis, so you have that.
Okay, the next slide is our teacher cost index comparisons. So you can see over the years our teacher cost index, and this is a measurement. It is a payroll that is taken in October, and it shows it's a measurement for our teachers' levels and years of experience. And so you can see there is a drop from last year's calculation to this year, and this number ends up being a calculation in our revenue. It's a factor. The next slide is the history of our unit value. It shows quite a few years there, just showing how you can see the unit value has increased over the years. There are 2 instances where you have an initial unit value and the final unit value, where the final unit value was less than the initial unit value. The current fiscal year that we're in, we actually had a $75.75 increase from the initial to the final. And typically there is an increase. Sometimes it stays constant. I actually thought it was going to stay constant this year, but we had a generous increase. And now for this initial, for this budget, you can see we have the $7,117.10 is what they gave us for the initial. I have a question mark for the final, because that final will not happen until way at the end of the next fiscal year. This slide is the budget summary by fiscal year. So this is not just, normally often I'm speaking about operational. These are all the funds that we have budget authority to spend, and what they total up to. You can see I have what was approved for as of July 1st, what we had, and then the final approved is not in there yet, so. Next slide is organizational charts. These are the administration that are not at school sites. And we have, at first, the first column is the cabinet, including the superintendent. We have directors, supervisors, and coordinators. And you can see over the years how that has changed. This current budget that I have in here for fiscal 26-27, we have the same amount of administrators that we currently have in this fiscal year. Okay, this one is the administration at the school sites, the principals and the assistant principals, and you can see those totals over the years.
Ms. Tracek, on this slide, it's important to note, if you look back to slide 15, with the principals and assistant principals, if you review the 2014-2015 school year, there were 11 assistant principals at the school sites. We had 3 assistant principals that worked at the elementary schools. The remainder worked at our secondary schools. We have since increased the number of assistant principals at our elementary school sites. There is only 1 school site that currently does not have an assistant principal. In the 2022-2023 school years, actually beginning with the 2019 and continuing through the 24-25 school year, we also had an additional assistant principal at Los Lunas Middle School. That position has been absorbed because the enrollment at Los Lunas Middle School has decreased as a result of the redistricting of boundaries. So when the assistant principal was the additional principal, assistant principal was placed at Los Lunas Middle School, that was due to a very large increase in the population at that school. We were nearing 900 students at Los Lunas Middle School at that time. We have also looked at Valencia High School. Valencia High School currently has 2 assistant principals. We continue to monitor the enrollment there. However, looking at the enrollment, it has held steady, so 2 assistant principals have been allocated for Valencia High School.
Okay, the next is the chart showing the total. You have the district administrators and the school site administrators, and then what they total. And again, this year's budget, the budget that we're doing for the 26-27 has the total amount of administrators the same as we currently have this fiscal year. The next slide is the FTEs in operational versus other. It has fiscal 26, the report that we did when we did the budget. It was showing what we had in the system at the time, not necessarily how everything was budgeted last year, versus fiscal 27 budget shows how I'm putting the budget in, the FTEs, how they're going to be budgeted in this budget I'm presenting tonight. The next slide is the FTEs of the other, and it is detailed by the different categories on the left, types of positions, and then you can see across all the other funds other than operational and their FTEs. Next is the change in the teachers' FTEs, because you see large changes in some of the teachers' FTEs, and so that is kind of spelled out with the fund and the types of positions and the differences, and you can see some of the funds that are no longer exist, and so those all of those positions have changed. So next is the change in teachers' FTE just for operational. And so again, it's a little more detailed, looking at last year, the report from last year versus how we are budgeting this year. Okay, the SCG, this is our 910B5 calculation. This is how we, this is the SCG that we receive our revenue. This goes through a calculation, and you can see I've kind of summarized instead of putting exactly how all that too busy on how the 910B5 is generated. So if you look at the top, it is comparing where we were at this time last year in the 26 versus the 27. And you can see how the membership numbers have gone down 243. So it's kind of showing you in numbers where before we had the graph showing how the MEM is going down. And then if you remember the TCI slide, that factor in the calculation of revenue, that has also decreased. And then those two are calculated together and gives you adjusted membership units. And then there are the rest of the categories that revenue is generated from, the special education, bilingual, fine arts, et cetera. Pretty much the only place you see an increase in the units is in the special education area. There also happen to be more national board certified teachers compared to years, but for the most part, the units have decreased. So you can get to a part where it has the subtotal units, and you can see last year at this time, we had 16,241.721 program units total, where this year we total up to $15,777.991 in program units calculated for this year's revenue. The saving grace is the initial unit value last year was at the 6,801, and this year it's now 7,017. So a large increase from initial to initial. However, we did have a difference in final unit value. But if you take those program units and multiply it by the unit value, that's where you get your revenue. So last year at this time, our revenue was 110 million of 465. And this year, it calculates out to 112 million 293 539.75. Okay. So then we received recently that final unit value of 6,877.10, and that gives we are finishing out this fiscal year at 111,691,208. And so if you compare that compared to what we're calculating the revenue, the SCG revenue this year, the difference is an increase, even though our program units are down, because the unit value went up, we have an increase from 1 year to the next of 602,331.75. And so a little bit below that, we have, if you take last year's program units, and if you were to multiply, if everything would have stayed the same in program units at the 16,241.03, if you multiply that by the new unit value of the 7,017, we would have had revenue of 115,589,5592. So we would have had another 3.2, almost $3.3 million more in our budget. On the reverse thought, comparing the final unit value with current program units would have only generated revenue at $108,506,821.90. Okay, the next slide is the estimated revenue. So the majority of all operationals revenue is in the SCG, but there are some other revenue sources that we have, and so this is what I am budgeting for in total for our revenue this fiscal year, or not this fiscal, but next fiscal year 27. So it has the different types of revenue. The one column estimated, this is how I'm estimating that we will end the current fiscal year. versus what I have budgeted for next fiscal year. And so we receive taxes, we have interest, we have fees, we have miscellaneous revenue, and then, of course, our large one is that SEG calculation. Forest reserve, that is usually something that we typically receive at the end. We never budget for it. We receive it at the end of the fiscal year if we're going to receive it. And then there's the indirect costs that we are able to. So I have budgeted the next year's to be the same as what I'm expecting to come in this year. All of that, you get a subtotal of the revenue I'm expecting to come in for next fiscal year. That, then after that, the total budget also includes our cash reserves that we have. I have budgeted the same amount, so our audited cash that we received is in the estimated, and I am estimating that we will not cut into our cash reserves, so I'm estimating the same amount. I do believe that our cash will actually will increase some, but that will be after the audit is completed, then we can do bar adjustments to add to our budget if our cash goes up. And then this slide has the total budget by function. So we have the function numbers, and then there's a description kind of giving you a better idea of what those functions are, the amount of the budget that is put in those functions, and then we have a comparison. We have the percentage for this year, this budget that I'm presenting, fiscal '27, versus where we had our budgeted last fiscal year of '26 comparison. And this next slide is really the same thing, but this is a pie chart to give you kind of an idea of those different functions and the differences in the size. And that light blue is our largest function, which is our instructional area. Okay, next we have the federal funds, curriculum, instruction, and accountabilities funds. The first one is Title I, and Title I pays for partial salaries for 6 certified employees, which totals out to a 4.8 FTE. 2 partial salaries for classified employees, 1.5 FTE. 3 administrator partial salaries for a 2.25 FTE. Title I pays for supplies, materials, and resources specific to ELA and math, professional development, and parent and family engagement. This year's award is at $2,529,977.73. Last year, the award was at $2,129,995.30. The next fund is Title II. And Title II pays for partial salaries for 6 certified employees, which totals up to a 1.2 FTE. It pays for tuition reimbursement for teachers, principals, and assistant principals. New teacher induction, including stipends for mentees and mentors, recruitment, and this year's award is $354,442.98. Last year's award was $333,522.16. The next award is Title III, and Title III pays for professional development, parent and family engagement, materials and resources in English, tailored specifically to English learners. This year, his award is $98,814.60. Last year was $91,359.45. The next award is Title IV, and it pays the salaries for 1 certified employee, so 1 FTE, materials and resources specific to STEM, music, art, and AP courses, student activities tied to health and safety, professional development, And this year's award is $183,001.61. Last year it was $148,371.27. The next award is the federal funds for special services, is Title VI. The salaries pays for partial certified employee, a .65 FTE, a partial salary for an administrator, a .2 FTE. And it is funded based on the number of 506 forms on file. It's a three-part grant applied for each year by the Director of Special Programs. And this year's award is at $109,060. Last year was $101,370. The next is Impact Aid Indian Education. It pays for salaries for one partial certified employee, a .35 FTE, and one partial for an administrator salary, also a 1.35 FTE. It pays for field trips, backpacks, and supplies for projects. Federally funded is based on the number of students who live in the Pueblo of Isleta. It's applied for by the Director of Special Programs each year. And this year, the budget is for $299,150. This also includes the cash carryover amount. Last year's award was $91,412.37. The next one is New Mexico Pre-K. It pays for 13 certified employees, which comes out to a 13 FTE. 2 partial salaries for certified employees, which comes to a 1.15 FTE, 14 classified employees for a 14 FTE, partial salary for 1 administrator, so that totals out to 0.3 FTE, and partial salary of 2 bus assistants, which total 1.85 FTE. Classroom supplies, furniture, and field trips it can pay for, professional development, transportation, substitutes, and it is applied for by the Director of Special Programs. Its current grant cycle is until 2027, and this year's award is $2,820,207. Last year was $2,764,240. Next fund is the McKinney-Vento, and that pays for a partial salary of 1 classified employee for a 0.5 FTE, and it is a flow-through state grant applied for by the Director of Support Services, and currently in the second year of a 3-year grant cycle. This year's award is $30,000, and last year was also $30,000. Next award is Idea B. It pays for an 8 FTE salary of certified employees, 6.5 FTE classified, and 1.25 FTE of administrators. It also pays for the student mentor program. We currently have 37. It also pays for instructional materials for students with special needs, equipment and materials and supplies for students with special needs, professional development. The current award this year is $2,184,137. Last year's award was $2,265,121.98.
On the slide specifically for the Idea B grant, we are currently waiting for more information from the Office of Special Education. We have seen an increase in the number of students who qualify for special education services. However, our award was decreased this year. So once we find out more information, we will bring that back to the school board.
Okay, the next fund is the Medicaid school-based services. This is meant to reimburse for students on an IEP who receive occupational therapy, speech therapy, audiology, physical therapy, and nursing services and mental health services. School-based funds do not impact families' Medicaid eligibility. This pays for salaries of 9 FTE certified, 41.5 FTE classified, and 1 FTE administrator. It pays for ancillary staff equipment, materials and supplies, professional development. This year's budget is for $4,860,822. Last year, the award was for $3,649,657.44. Okay, this slide talks about some of the ESSER positions, things that have changed that we no longer have. And this typically is talking about fiscal '21 through '24. '24 was mostly the end of it. There was a few stragglers for something that was not paid for in fiscal '25 if it was encumbered. And we could pay for it by September 30th. We were able to use a little bit of funds in that. But as of after that, starting October 1st of fiscal '25, those funds were totally gone. So at that time, ESSER's paid for 4 administrative positions. Those positions are no longer in the budget. 2 counselors on special assignment. Again, those positions are no longer in the budget. 5 teachers on special assignment. Those positions are no longer in the budget. It also started the student mentor program, initially started with 20. That program has still continued, but now IDEA B pays for the mentors, and there are currently 37 this year. It also paid for 8 social workers in general education. 6 of those positions remain and salaries are paid for Medicaid. Next. Okay, also ESSER's was able to pick up 2.25 FTE in transportation. I bring this up because with transportation, as we all know, never receives enough funding. And so operational always ends up picking up the balance of what goes over the award that we receive in transportation. So when those FTEs were added back to transportation, it ends up hurting operational monies. Oh, one more. 2 digital learning coaches, federal funds pay for those salaries. So here are some of the things that were budgeted savings that were able to help us meet this budget, making it balanced with the kind of the loss in membership that we had was kind of a hard hit. So yes, that one, please. We had 3 classified positions in safety and security. The decrease occurred through natural attrition. 10 general education teachers. The decreased FTEs are due to enrollment drop. Decreases are incurred through natural attrition. 1 classified position in the superintendent's office. 3 administration positions. Positions were budgeted in the 25-26 budget, but they are not budgeted in the 26-27 budget. 6 classified positions. Decreases occurred through natural attrition. Next. 9 certified positions. 3 salaries entirely paid out of operational. 6 salaries partially paid by operational. There was a review of the stipends, and we have dropped the KRQE advertising. Last year in our budget, we had to pay for a rather expensive special audit, so we don't have that budgeted this year. And we have savings moving from the Power School to Synergy, since the state will be picking up a majority of the bill for Synergy. And also some of the web-based services that were paid for by operational in the past are being moved to 3 mil. And those are savings approximately $2.8 million. Next. And that is all I have on the presentation. Are there any questions?
Board members, Superintendent Chavez and Ms. Tracek, I I'll be the first to acknowledge that the board did participate in contributing input to this budget. We spent a significant amount of time. We attended 3 work sessions and 2 board meetings. I did cancel 1 board meeting because I felt like we were making real progress. And as far as the board, you have one last chance to make any comments or questions before we go ahead and vote on this budget. So, yes.
I just want to thank you for all your hard work and putting together historical data, and doing it in a timely manner and helping everybody to understand what was going on. So thank you, and thank you for all of your staff getting that together. Thank you.
Any comments?
I have a few. Go ahead.
Cool.
Before me.
I have a few too. Probably should have brought them up at an earlier time, but on the statewide enrollment trend and then our enrollment trend, has anybody compared that with the census counts for the school-age kids? And did we lose that number of kids in the state? Or are they still in the state but doing something else besides attending our schools?
That I do not know. I have not looked into that at all.
That'd
Actually,
be-
this was the first year that we attended spring budget that they've ever shown that, and we were, Miranda made sure she got a copy of that, and we thought it was important to kind of add to it, just so no one thinks this is unique to Las Lunas. And so,
That'd be an interesting thing to look at is if the number of school-age kids hasn't really dropped, then what's going on? So, on the budget, I'm on page 13 in this. I'm looking at the 2015-2016 budget, and we are more than double that now.
and you know what, I saw this on the, you know what, I changed that amount and I added the amount that it changed, and really, actually, when I look at it, it was meant to be the approved budget in July, so it did, I added, and so it really isn't and I forgot that, I was like, oh, I better update the slide, and I shouldn't have, it was, it should have been just the July 1st, what we had approved, so. So it would go back to the number that was on the previous slide. I shouldn't have changed it.
Are you referring to the April 20th presentation?
Correct.
So that amount should be $236,606,942.
Yes.
Yes, okay,
That's for this school year.
correct.
And the one for 2015, 2016 was 110,000 some? Okay, so
Yes.
what is that? Is that inflation? Or we didn't have that many student
No.
increase from those years, did we?
No, I mean, these are all funds, so you're even kind of looking at times when we had COVID money, so you never, from year to year, funds change. Sometimes you get awards that you don't, you lose them later, but always, like the majority of this is operational bonds, some of the larger funds that we have. Operational does keep getting larger and larger, but, in the previous years, we did have large increases in raises. We had quite a few years of some decent raises in there. Insurance has gone up, so every time these things happen, they have to add it to the unit value. And so this is a total of all funds that we received. So they do vary through the years, but typically the largest amount is operational, and operational keeps going up.
The difference in unit value between those two comparison years, I just did quick math, $3,090 per unit value. So that's a big difference from the year you're referencing to the current year.
Yeah.
So that does pay for the large increases in the salaries, our insurance, the cost share, and that's why we're seeing an increase. We also have, during the COVID years, we were able to use those ESSER funds, and we were able to save our other federal funds.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. The organizational chart, I noticed this the other day, and I like the fact that you guys put the chart out, and the fact that this year, we are at the lowest number in principals, assistant principals, cabinet directors, all these things, that we're at the lowest number of the whole list. And that's a gold star for you. A lot of times there's administrative creep in central office, and it gets bigger and bigger, and we haven't been doing that, so I really appreciate that. And then, let's see, what else did I have? On the cash, 31,600.
31 million.
Million, yeah. So, okay. What's a million here or there? Are we a target for a sweep, or is the state going to be looking at that and saying, oh, they've got way too much cash? And what is that percent?
Don't jinx this.
What is that percent?
We had talked in the past about it being around 20%, but we've also, Superintendent Chavez has already put a memo out to the secretary where we have an interest in building another school, and that other school will take about 85% of that cash.
Okay.
So we've already said out loud and in writing that we have a plan for that cash, and
Okay.
once we can move through the PSCOC and all of the P things, that's why we've been concentrating our cash, because that'll be an expensive build. It'll be a worthwhile build, but it'll be an expensive build, and that'll wipe out about 85%.
Okay. That helps. And then I guess finally, so we have the breakdown of the federal funds. Now, there was talk about sort of splitting up the Federal Department of Education and giving certain functions to other departments in the federal government. So these funds that you've identified, are they coming from different departments, or are they all coming from the Department of Education?
These funds are actually flowing, they flow through the state, but they're federal funds. A lot of these, we know these numbers from our new unified application. So it was a nice way that we are actually able to receive those awards easier in one place. So if you look, the majority of the funds have increased. A lot of it, we showed so there's a slight increase in the funds. So I'm not sure if that was the reasoning why, but I'm happy that they are up, that they're going up, because in the past, they were looking like they might possibly go down. And so there are some slight increases. But remembering when the state tells us they're going to, you have to give a 1% raise, and, medical insurance is going to increase and all these things. That's the state telling us that, but some of these federal funds are affected by the rules that we do, and so it's, the fact that it's going up is probably going to,
So my question is, are all these funds that are federal funds coming from the Department of Education, or are some coming from different departments?
Some of these are actually even state funds that are in here, but for the most part,
Mr.
these
Vickers,
are.
yes, they're mostly coming from the federal funds at the Department of Education.
From the
They've-
Department of
correct.
Education at this point?
Correct.
All right. Just wondering about that. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Impact aid is a direct federal. The Title VI federal direct. The New Mexico pre-K is state.
Right.
So majority other than those that I just mentioned.
Okay. Thank you.
Speaking of impact aid, I noticed that we had a 227% increase in that budgeted amount from last year.
That, yeah.
So do we have a plan to make sure that we're applying these to those, for those particular students? I mean, that's a huge increase, other than paying for field trips and backpacks. I mean, come on,
So.
almost $300,000 in backpacks and field trips?
So that account, the amount that you see, it's not really that huge amount increase. That also includes the cash carryover amount. So that is a fund that we actually have monies wired to us, so it actually has a cash balance. So you're looking at, last year, you're just looking at the award amount, and then this year, you're looking at the award plus the cash.
So what is the award? Because if last year's 91,000 was the award amount, what is the award amount? Is it significantly more and we've been holding cash in that account? I'm not understanding.
There is a decent amount of cash in that. I don't know if you can speak to what is, what's not.
No, and Kathy's not here.
So Board President, Mr. Otero, and Board Member Dr. Osowski, when we're looking at that amount, impact aid, it does fluctuate depending on the number of students who live in the Pueblo of Isleta.
Correct.
So that changes year to year.
Correct.
So we're at a high year right now because the students are coming to Los Lunas schools. So it goes up and down. There's also been some changes on how impact aid is funded to school districts. Some of the funding from impact aid goes directly to the Pueblos. So we've collaborated with the Pueblos, many of the principals, I think all of the principals or assistant principals were at a meeting. It was an all-day meeting at the Pueblo of Isleta in February. So we're working on how we can collaborate to better provide services for our Native American students. So some of the resources and ideas that were discussed, we know that attendance is an area that needs to improve. We have also looked at providing our students with more resources as far as supporting them with their after-school programs on the Pueblo.
And we would take care of that?
We will take care of that. The Pueblo Department of Education provided us with many ideas. We worked collaboratively throughout the day. It was one of the best and well-attended collaborations that we've had in recent years.
And I just wanted to add to, this money doesn't expire, but if you were to go back and look, for a long time in the beginning of this year, you know how we were a little bit nervous about how federal funds were coming in slower? This one was tremendously slow. It took we just started getting revenue, and so it was a little scary as to what's going on. Impact aid has always been one where I don't know the rhyme or reason as to when we receive it. And so for the longest time, nothing came in for impact aid. And so I do think that kind of might have delayed some of the spending because we did budget to receive that revenue, and it was really very slow coming in. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 we finally received.
There's also been an increase in impact aid monies because there was a fight between, it used to be an offset from your budget. And so within the last 4 or 5 years, that changed, and so that's why you've seen a big increase. But impact aid is basically related to the tax that you can generate in your district or not because of it being on, like for instance in Zuni, they're on an Indian reservation and there's no tax base there. So that's what impact aid money is, that's how it's generated, that military bases. And there's
I
one more.
appreciate all of that. I think what I would like to see, though, this is a particular subpopulation of our students who are underperforming even when compared to their peers, and as a district, we're underperforming. So what I'd like to see here is a plan for this kind of money, especially since we had great collaboration with the Pueblo of Isleta to see what we can do to provide services that we can show to the public, we can be transparent with it, that will show high-quality academic support, after-school services, et cetera, that's meaningful and meets some of our outcome variables that we have to do for accreditation and whatnot. So that's what I'm saying here.
Well, and oftentimes, historically, our Native American kids have outperformed other subgroups.
That's true.
So if that's
They're-
not happening now, then that is something, but I don't know that it's a money thing. I think that we can absolutely look at those things, but we can't just say, throw that baby out with the bathwater either.
Not suggesting that. What I'm saying is when you see a 227% increase in that budget amount, and what we have listed for the public to see is that we're going to pay for field trips, backpacks, and supplies, I'm wondering if we shouldn't be a little bit more clear about how those services are going to be provided for our Native American students to help them be definitely competitive with their academic peers or with their peers.
Well, I'm highly doubtful that the backpacks have been depleting that fund, but
So on another one, when we talk about the decrease in IDEA B 24106, just looking at the numbers, and I know you explained that there's complications across the state because it looks like a decrease of about 3.6%. But then when I look at 25143, we have an increase, a nice increase of about 33%. Is it possible that the state shifted funds over to help pay for the Medicaid school-based services based on how schools or districts are billing?
It is possible. I'm not sure, because that's why you see an increase in 25153, the Medicaid, because we have so many more students receiving ancillary services, so they can bill for, our therapists who are eligible can bill for those services. We just received more information yesterday from the Office of Special Education, and looking at other districts, there seems to be quite a variance in awarded amounts across districts. So we are working very closely with our administrator in the Department of, or the Office of Special Education to receive answers, because our numbers have increased. And we see an increase in Medicaid, so we should see that increase in IDEA B.
I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was an interesting anomaly. So didn't know if that would be carrying it over. Thank you. Compared to the budget that I saw my first budget season to what we're seeing now, this rocks. This is amazing. I think it's just got such fabulous information, good detail. I think we're being as incredibly complete and transparent for the public. And I appreciate all of the time that you took to put the details in it, you and your staff. I just really appreciate the improvement over time. It's been a nice improvement, and this is an incredible product. So thank you.
Seymour, do you have anything?
Total appreciation. I appreciate you letting us know way in advance. It's going to be tight this year. Enrollment is down. Don't know where the money's going to come on in. I really appreciate you guys being stewards and taking a judicious and fiscally responsible approach to this budget. I do want to highlight some of the positive things in that budget. The 1% increase, raise increase, it may not be much, but it is an increase. So, and then that no employee that was employed by this district lost a position. They might have to transfer, there might be changes, so we appreciate that. Some of us were familiar when there was positions cut, so that was scary. And I do think the insurance increase is minimal. I know every bit coming out of our paycheck hurts, but compared to what I'm seeing in the industry, they're seeing anywhere from 19 to 38% increases in the insurance industry. So I'm very grateful for what you all did. This is an incredible budget based upon
I think we've got everything covered, and I appreciate Dr. Ozowski's comments, because I think we are stewards of these dollars. We want to make sure they're used well. So thank you for what you did. Good job.
Thank you.
Can I ask one more clarifying question? The budget that you are proposing is $144,002,647, correct?
Correct.
All right, before we vote, I just want to point out that these are inconsistent times, and, and it was, Ms. Sanders had pointed that out a few meetings back ago, that, this, we're not just passing the budget and everything's going to be hunky-dory throughout the year. So, that's our role on the board, to monitor the situation and the money that's coming in, and it's a continuous thing that we have to do, and so we as a board will monitor the economy and the variables in the economy, and we'll be partners with the administration and the staff here, and make sure the kids get the services they need. So at this point, I stand for a motion regarding item number L,
Mr. President,
approval of budget 2026-2027. Dr. Osowski.
I move to accept the proposed budget of $144,570,000, or $592,000. I'm going to say that again. $144,570,592 as presented by the superintendent and her staff for fiscal year 26-27.
We have a motion from Dr. Osowski to approve the budget. Do we have a second?
Second. Go ahead, Mr. Vickers.
Second by Mr. Vickers. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Simoia, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The budget is passed by a vote of 5-0.
Just kidding. We want to know.
There was some oxygen and stuff. Okay, we'll move to item number M on the agenda. That's a presentation of graduation requirements per HB 171. And I can't emphasize how, here's another important presentation. It's something that we have to do in a timely manner. When Mrs. Chavez and I set the agenda, we decided to leave approval out this meeting. We're going to give it some. We're going to let them present, and we're going to give it consideration, and you all give your input. But it's something that we need to do in a timely manner. So, Mrs. Chavez.
Thank you, Board President Mr. Otero, and thank you all for approving our budget. I would like to thank our team once again. We've been working on the budget all year long. This wasn't just a let's meet after spring break and figure out what needs to happen. It's been almost the entire year. So thank you to everybody. I will now turn this over to Ms. Susie Chavez.
Mr. President, members of the Los Lunas School Board, Superintendent Chavez, thank you for the opportunity to speak about improving graduation pathways. I am going to turn it over to Ms. Chelsea Cervantes, the Director of Secondary Programs.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the Los Lunas Schools Board of Education, and Superintendent Chavez. Thank you so much for allowing me to present this evening regarding House Bill 171 and our proposal for the upcoming graduation pathways for the class of 2029 and beyond. To begin this presentation, I just want to frame the work that has been done. I think it was last year that we unveiled our graduate profile That graduate profile was created through collaborative sessions, surveys, and focus groups made up of teachers, parents, over 300 student participants, administrators, and local employers. And through that work, we created a graduate profile with 5 indicators of skills, competencies that we wanted all Las Lunas graduates to emulate upon their graduation. So a responsible citizen, effective communicator, focused on wellness, innovative thinker, and being self-driven. How does HB 171 affect graduation requirements? So we know that for this current freshman cohort, our graduating class of 2029, there are a few changes that have come down the pipe. First off, social studies requirements increase from 3.5 to 4 credits. Las Lunas schools will use the following courses: world history, personal finance, US history, and government and economics to satisfy those 4 credits. The math pathway no longer requires Algebra 2 as a graduation requirement, although students still must achieve 4 credits in math. And furthermore, the New Mexico Public Education Department has released a plan to update math offerings at all high schools statewide. Elective credits have reduced from 8 to 5.5, and local educational agencies are required to submit 2 LEA-required courses for graduation. All students must still earn a minimum of 24 credits to graduate. Tonight, we're proposing 3 pathways to reach graduation requirements. This comes, we presented on graduation requirements closer to the beginning of this year and appreciated the feedback that the board gave us at that time. And we continued our conversations as a result of that. From those conversations, we have expanded our vision to be more inclusive of our student population. And before I talk about these pathways, I think what's really important here, and just kind of echoing some of the sentiments that we've heard, are that students are looking for 3 things mainly. They are looking to have learning with purpose. They want somebody to care for their well-being, and they want mentorship to become contributing adults. We believe that these 3 pathways will satisfy those desires from our young people. The first pathway is a capstone pathway, Capstone 1 and Capstone 2. The second pathway also starts with Capstone 1 and then allows for a CTE completer course from an articulated CTE pathway as set forth by the New Mexico Public Education Department. And then our final pathway is an AP seminar course followed by an AP research course. These are designed to maximize student flexibility, apply academics to real-world settings, and align with HB 171. So how will these course options benefit our students? First off, these pathways allow for differentiation based on next step plans and individualized student post-secondary goals, inclusive of IEPs. AP Seminar and Research serves as an academic research pathway for students seeking advanced college-level work. High School Capstone serves as a culminating applied experience tied to career pathways, internships, or civic engagement. And CTE completer courses ensures mastery of industry-aligned technical skills within a career pathway. These 3 pathways intersect with our shared goals as stated in our graduate profile. So aligning pathways to the Las Lunas Schools graduate profile allows us to ensure that we are intentionally implementing the graduate profile as set forth by our community, taking into account those 300 plus students, our local businesses, our parents, our teachers, and really helps to emulate what our motto is: every student matters and every moment counts. So what have we done already to implement this work? In the 23-24 school year, we joined Innovation Zone. It's a grant through the New Mexico Public Education Department, which helped to fund work to improve access to work-based learning, internships, and career technical education. Since then, we have been recognized, even though we are not recipients of Innovation Zone anymore, we continue to be recognized as leaders in this work statewide. We created opportunities for capstone projects, which are specifically addressed in HB 171 regarding the changes in graduation requirements beginning for the 2029 graduating cohort. We began work with CTE teachers to integrate capstone projects into their courses as appropriate for each area of expertise. Valencia High School currently offers AP Seminar and AP Research. Los Lunas High School currently offers AP Seminar and is prepared to offer AP Research. Okay. So for continued implementation, what does this look like as we continue down this pathway for our students? For Capstone 1 and Capstone 2, these standards will focus on grade level ELA application at the core of these courses. Capstone 1 will be centered around community capstones as determined through partnerships with teachers in the community. Student groups will pick areas of focus within the chosen area of need. In Capstone 2, students will be a little bit more self-driven, requiring students to make connections with mentors, either within the school or the community. And these capstones will focus strategically on student post-secondary goals. Capstone 1 to the CTE Completer course. Students in this pathway have been identified through coursework and next step plans as students completing a CTE pathway. Students will participate in Capstone 1 and continue to the CTE Completer course as outlined through the NMPED CTE approved pathways. The majority of these completer courses are internships, work-based learning, or dual credit. And finally, AP Seminar to AP Research. This course sequence is based on ELA standards, and all instructors receive certification through College Board to be eligible to teach these courses. Currently, we have teachers working through an implementation progress. We have multiple teachers working from all 3 high school campuses that are actively engaged in the process to create a shared vision for student success, high expectations, and standards alignment. We have teachers from CTE, core academics, inclusive of AP and AP Seminar and research courses. And then this cross-collaboration strengthens the shared vision of the graduate profile. So we didn't just think of all this in a vacuum, or even just after our conversations with our community members in creating our graduate profile. We continued the conversation and released a community survey to parents of current 7th, 8th, and 9th grade students, looking for feedback from those cohorts that these changes would most imminently affect. The following slides show the feedback received from 271 responses. This shows who responded. So we got a really broad district cross-section. And y'all, I could not have planned this better if I tried, okay? I promise I did not send it to 50 here, 50 there. We just got balanced responses. And so this was really a nice surprise. You can see about a quarter of all responses coming from each of our comprehensive middle schools and high schools, with supporting data from Century High School and Los Lunas Family School. We believe that this equitable input ensures an equitable design. So what is our community asking of us? 89.3% of respondents rate student internship and work-based learning opportunities as highly important. 88.9% emphasize the need for direct mentorship from local businesses and professionals. 87.7% demand access to job shadow opportunities during their high school career, and 82.7% strongly support a required capstone course, combining these elements for graduation. Our community is calling us to action. They want us to bridge the gap from high school to the real world. So we really see a point of convergence happening here. This is not simply us reaching a mandate or repackaging what we've always done to fit a new statute. What we see here is our community calling us to action. There is significant support for applied learning and community connections. With stakeholder support, we've created a district vision that is encapsulated in our graduate profile. And finally, we reach our state requirements with our 2-unit sequence and allow for flexibility for students by allowing the 3 pathways. The new sequence is not just a mandate, it is the perfect intersection of state compliance, district vision, and community demand. So what does it look like if I'm a student in cohort 2029 or after? My 9th and 10th grade years are still gonna focus on my core foundations, including ELA, math, science, health, and the addition of personal finance. And when I get to my 11th grade year, this is really where we reach our launch pad. Every student in their 11th grade year will choose either Capstone 1 or AP Seminar to begin their 2 LEA district sequence requirement. And then in 12th grade, they will reach their culmination, either choosing Capstone 2, AP Research, or a CTE completer course. Our goals through these required courses are to increase application of academics to real-world settings, individualize and personalization of the educational experience for all students, increase collaboration opportunities between schools and employers, integration of the Los Lunas Schools graduate profile, and increase satisfaction of the educational process for students and parents. So again, we have multiple pathways, but one graduate profile. By allowing these 3 pathways, we allow for individualization for each student to reach their goals, to apply their learning in meaningful ways, and really reach those post-secondary goals that they've outlined for themselves, and to dream big. I stand for questions.
Board members?
Well, thank you for all the work
Yeah,
in there.
absolutely.
It looks very interesting, very different than my high school.
Mine too.
And I'm curious as to the extent of the input from local businesses. How many, how big were they, and, you know, to what degree were they participating?
We had businesses, everywhere from local, small mom and pop businesses, all the way to contractors for Meta. So, so we had, and even international fabrication suppliers. So we have built a business base of individuals that are highly involved in what our students do. And a lot of these businesses also directly correlate to our CTE pathways. So our construction pathways, our fabrication pathways, our safety and security pathways. So these businesses have remained part of the discussion for 2 or 3 years now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know whether to applaud, mic drop, nailed it. This is amazing. From the business community, I'm a member of AREA, which is our Albuquerque Regional Economic Alliance. They have been screaming for these opportunities in the graduates, and we're on track for this. And so I noticed your cohort starting in 2029, they're already projecting what industries and companies will be coming in, believe it or not, 2032, 2035. Right. So by the time we're here, we have the labor force to be able to keep our students in New Mexico if they wish to stay here and make this their home. I'm phenomenal job. I'm totally engaged in this. I do want to ask you the question on the 4-year journey cohort map.
Yes.
So when they get to 11th grade, I'm trending towards a capstone to go to capstone 2 all of a sudden, or CTE, and all of a sudden I say, you know what, I'm gonna go the AP route.
Yes.
How, are there options, are we considering options for those students to be able to make that switch?
So there is flexibility amongst the 3 pathways. The AP Seminar, AP Research pathway is the most locked down, and that is out of our control. College Board mandates that AP Seminar must be taken before AP Research. In fact, we can't even train a teacher for each class at the same time. We must do AP seminar, they must teach the class for a year, then participate in the training, then teach the class for a year. However, that being said, if I'm a Capstone 1 student, and maybe I was on a CTE track, and then for whatever reason, I changed my mind, and I don't want to do that completer course. Remember, our completer courses are dual credit internships, like they're high value, very engaging kind of courses. But maybe I just decided that that's actually not where I'm headed. So I can go to Capstone 2 and complete that. Maybe I start an AP seminar, and then I get hooked by a CTE, right, pathway. So then I can move from AP, there's nothing that says I can't move from AP seminar to a CTE completer or AP seminar to a Capstone course. Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great job.
Dr. Osowski?
I love the thoughts. I love the profiles. I think it's been very nicely refined from last time. And I absolutely agree that these could be opportunities for electives to be offered to kids. Right now, we have 8 electives, and that's dropping down to 5.5, but that does not mean that the board has to designate students take different courses. It means that this board could also say, we allow students and their parents to make choice, and those can continue to be electives. And if students choose to go into a Capstone 1 to a Capstone 2, or AP Research to AP, or Seminar to Research, or the Capstone to a CTE, that would be between the student and the student's parents to be able to choose that option. And my concern is we have many students that by the time that they are juniors, and we had many of them presented here tonight, that by the time that they're juniors, and they would be looking at possibly having 2 electives if they're on track with their math, science, English, and social studies, so that's not assuming that they have to go back and make anything up, then we would be taking one of those electives. And for our fine arts students, they look forward to taking Jazz Band 1 and Band. For our art students, they look forward to taking Art 3 and then possibly graphic arts, et cetera, because they're starting to decide for themselves which direction they're wanting to go when they leave school. Now, that doesn't mean that I think any of this could not be offered. I absolutely think it could be offered, especially for those students who may not be as well focused as a proportion of our students. I think, though, that by mandating that all students enroll in one of these 3 pathways, as opposed to it being an option, and definitely looking at student voice, I think is really important. And if I think about our sample size coming in of 271, which I'm highly impressed that we got that many to respond. We're creeping up in how many people are responding, and that's appreciated very much. But even taking a low estimate of approximately 300 students in the 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade that would go up being graduate cohorts, we still haven't quite hit 30% of respondents possible. So it's not a mandate. The mandate is from that sample of less than 30%. So we also heard from a student tonight, and of course we don't know how she did her surveys or how many students she talked to or if this was for a course. But I thought it was very brave of her to come forward and say, we're not listening to students. And they would like us to talk about mental health, and they would like us to talk about academic stressors, and they would like us to listen to what they're thinking. So although I absolutely love the work, I see that it meets a need. I see where it's going, especially with CTE. I did read 3 contemporary writings today about the graduate workforce now for college graduates at this time and estimated in 10 years. And we don't have the labor, and I agree with that, but I think that there are many ways to get us there. And I think that these are fabulous opportunities for electives, but not necessarily a mandate.
Okay.
Questions?
So mine's a little more on the practical side.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like at Los Lunas High School that was kind of depleted of CTEs like in 2009, 10?
Mm-hmm.
And the facilities, the teachers, what does that look like at Los Lunas High School who does not have the same CTE facilities that what used to be the Career Academy and now is Valencia High School has? And, how will this be, how will what is on paper affect the facilities, the teaching staff, the students, and how they receive, no matter what pathway they choose?
Absolutely. Great question. So we've done considerable work over the last few years in bolstering and streamlining our CTE pathways on all campuses. We've increased pathways specifically at Los Lunas High School, and I think it's important that we broaden our idea of what CTE is. So CTE encompasses education, it encompasses health services, it encompasses legal, business entrepreneurship. So all of these pathways are all CTE-approved pathways, which do not require large shops, huge purchases, or large overhead. They are also courses that can be taught by many different licensures. So we can have vocational licensed teachers, or we can have business technology teachers. So we are able to meet that demand by looking at, one, our facilities, our FTEs available, the expertise in the building, and the community need.
So is that something that has been done or will be done? And if so, what does that timeline look like?
That is done. All of those pathways have been built out. Where we are currently, and it's kind of a mathematics game, right? But where we are currently is, I would say at least half of our CTE pathways are built to what we call completer courses. So in CTE land, we have to have one introductory course, at least one concentrator course, and then one completer course for it to be considered a complete pathway. And so we are to at least concentrator course in probably 80% or better of our CTE pathways. The completer courses, we are in current conversations with UNM Valencia campus to support those dual credit completers. We also are working currently with our business partners to ensure that there may be internships available. We can also support internships through our Perkins grant, and tie that directly to pathways. So for a long time, we've had a course called like work experience. And what we would be able to do now is really tie that to our relevant CTE courses on our campuses so that students aren't just going through a CTE pathway and then say, I work at Albertsons so I can get work experience. If I was in the engineering pathway, I want to do an internship somewhere in that realm of engineering, right? So we work with our CTE teachers, and I would say about half of them have very dedicated industry partners who are ready to house internships, whether they be paid or unpaid. And the other half are really working on creating those partnerships. So we are well on the way to ensuring that students can have a meaningful experience at the end of that CTE pathway, regardless of what campus they are on. We also are working at Century High School. Let's see, we have a biotech pathway that just started there. We have an engineering pathway, and we also have an early childhood development pathway. So there are CTE pathways across our district at all 3 high schools.
And the staffing is there?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. So do you have any comments? No? Okay. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Cervantes. We only have one meeting in May, and my intentions are to put this issue on the workshop prior to that meeting, and also a quick presentation and a possible either approval or disapproval, whatever it may come out. But that's what I intend to do.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, we'll go to item N, presentation of unified application.
Thank you, Board President. Mr. Otero, I would like to invite Ms. House and Ms. Chavez to the podium.
Mr. President, members of the school board, and Superintendent Chavez, thank you for allowing Ms. House and I to have this opportunity to speak to you about the unified application. It was mentioned earlier by Ms. Tracek, it is a one-stop shop in how you can see how our federal funds have been completed through our funding for this year. Can you go to the next slide? So we gave you, here's just the big picture. Single applications used to occur for all the grants. So such as Title I, Title II, III, IV, IDEA B, those were all separate entities. And there was a lot of paperwork and a lot of planning for it. And so what we've done is the state it's mandatory statewide. There was a group of cohorts last year that had participated in it, and it's a mandatory statewide for us to be able to complete our federal program applications for the year. So why the unified application? And our pictures didn't come out on there, I apologize for that. So there's efficiency, accuracy, impact, and integration. So it's a reduced duplication of completing federal forms through SharePoint that we had. So it's a one-stop place to be able to collaborate, work together, have more accuracy, and that integration part of it with our funds. So that way we're braiding funds together and we're working on it collaboratively. The purpose of it through the unified application is to make sure people are not working in silos. But that's not something that we've ever done. We've always worked collaboratively with special services and among our different federal funds within our departments. So it's never been a siloed entity with us with Los Lunas Schools, but we wanted to give you some feedback on that. Go ahead. So the next one, this goes along with the one-page summary that you do have. And I cannot see that far, so I'm going to read from here. Sorry. So here's the three whys that the State Department has shared, and it's the focus on what works for kids. So it makes it easier for districts and charter schools to see what resources are available across funding. To the extent of which they could strategically braid funds to support these priorities. It incentivizes coordination across district offices that plan for district grant programs. And as I mentioned before, this is something that we've never done in siloed work. We've always done this collaboratively. How can we make our funds braid together, work together in order to support our teachers and ultimately help the impact of our students?
And towards those district goals that all of us are moving toward together.
It reduces the burdens for the LEA and the NMPED. So district and charter engagement is streamlined in the planning, the budgeting, and the application approval. It replaces multiple lengthy grant application questions with simple short answers or drop-down questions focused on how the district will spend funds. With my experience with Title I, that has always been on my side, the most lengthy grant application to complete. It was almost like writing a college essay going through it, so it's actually made the process a lot simpler to be able to work through those. So we do appreciate how that has narrowed down the time it has taken to be able to complete those things. We're able to collaborate, work together, and be able to complete it in a timely manner. Ensure federal and state compliance. So it's helping districts and charters to see the big picture and support key priorities while meeting individual program requirements. And again, it reduces the time and the energy spent ensuring that there is compliance. We noticed a great thing here working with the HQIM grant. It was nice to see them asking questions about our high quality instructional materials and also braiding in and supporting that, the high quality professional learning that will occur amongst those materials. So having those good questions amongst our team and ensuring that everybody knows where we're going and where our trajectory is with that.
And I would just add to that, not only for classroom teachers, right? It allows us to really look at that for support staff as well as we're looking at funding and how they fit into that picture. So that HQIM covers all our kids.
These are the included programs again with it, Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV, and also with IDEA B, IDEA Part B. With that, If you go to the next slide, we wanted to give you a district data snapshot, but Ms. Tracek has mentioned this several times with her presentations. We just wanted to show you, this was something that was actually, once it went live, it was nice. Everything was pre-populated in there for us with our funding, how much we were receiving with Title I, Title II, III, IV, and IDEA B. So it gives us a snapshot. We work in our section with it, and then IDEA B works in there, but it's all into one unified application with that. The next slide just is the funding overview. I'm sharing with you, as you have seen through the budget presentations, we have our Title I and IDEA B are our big expenditures that we have with our funds. And then, of course, our Title II, Title III, and Title IV as well.
And I do just want to add, in terms of the IDEA B funds, we are talking about our school-age kiddos in that context.
So this was the timeline. There was planning. We had, with our planning, there was every Tuesday, beginning in January at 9 o'clock, we had a Zoom meeting and we had professional development on how to complete the unified application all the way through April 14th because it was due on the 15th. So with that, we had extensive time going through each portion of it and so forth and ensuring that we were going to make sure that we completed it correctly. It was due April 15th. So with that, we do want you to know that it is right now, it's in a revision process, and actually it will not be completely approved until the end of May. So there will not be an application that we can print until June because each PED department is taking their time going through and they are reviewing it, and then they provide us feedback. We're able to revise anything that we need to revise in the application. We currently just went through the Title I, and so that portion of our unified has been completed and done, and so we're still waiting to hear back from the other Title II, III, IV, and IDEA B. So again, with that, the submission, we've done that, but then in June, we'll be able to have a printable copy of it. And so again, just reviewing, there's less paperwork, more implementation, better outcomes, and collaboration among the funds. We've always ensured we have balanced support for all of our funds, supporting each other with that work. And while it's new, there's growing pains with everything that's new, but we found it was a much easier process to be able to go through it being in one place instead of having multiple areas to be able to go through.
Right. And some of the areas where you can see that evidence, and you kind of saw it when Ms. Tracek was going over her presentation, when you have those FTEs and you have a 1.2 or you have a 1.3, that's us braiding funds and pulling together some of the funds to be able to cover some of those positions. So you're seeing evidence of that. This just puts it all in one place.
And the summary that Ms. Tracek also gave you regarding our federal funding is those are the things that we are putting into it, and we have those expenditure sheets that we're putting all that information. It actually requires us to provide more detailed information for the PED to review, which in turn helps it easier to be able to implement into the OBMS for Sandy and for her team. And do you have any questions?
Questions?
I'll let you start at that end.
No, I don't. Thank you.
Just a quick comment. When I was sitting through the budget meetings, the open comment budget meetings, I couldn't believe how many dollars were part of the grants that you guys are doing. So for a layman's term, this is kind of like a FAFSA kind of form. You enter this once and it lets you, wow. And we're at about $5.4 million worth of these funds that you guys have to manage and make sure. So thank you for what you do. Sounds like it's a good progress. That's a great program.
We have great teams.
Absolutely.
And we all work well together, and that's where the magic is.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Mr. Vickers? Dr. Wasowski?
So I appreciate that the application process makes it easier on you guys, and I appreciate that you feel like it's higher accuracy. I don't have a better understanding of how we're spending $5.4 million. Because what it says on here, and what you just said, was everyone knows where we're going and how we get there. I don't have a clue.
So with that, because it's still under the revision process, when it becomes printable, we'd like to be able to share that because then it's more detailed. But it's under revision, so we don't want to provide something that maybe needs to be revised in some form. So we are happy to be able to provide that once we have it completed and it is approved. So we didn't.
So this presentation was to let us know that we've switched how we apply for the funds and that you received good training and there's good collaboration.
Yes, and we're wanting just to inform you of how it's going to look when it is approved, so that way we can give that to you and how the details are going to look and how they're not in separate
But
applications.
if you're
for it.
proposing something on how if you're proposing program and how things are going to be with $5.4 million, isn't that something that the board should know before we get final approval?
Yeah, and I will say that I'm thinking maybe this is your question. What you're seeing in that and what is provided in this application is the funding for FTEs. It includes all the benefits for that. It includes the HQMI materials and supplies for all of the students, covering that wall-to-wall. Support staff, all of that is included in the application. So in terms of like funding, when you're looking at where those funds are being spent, really that's also in Sandy's presentation and what we're proposing for next year within that budget, if that makes sense.
It does, but one of the things that I sat in on a meeting with the PED at Century High School, and one of the things that was talked about was braiding and blending of funds to accomplish that school's specific needs. And I still could not walk out and sit in a meeting after just making the motion to approve a $144 million budget. I still could not walk out of here and talk about how we will support that school with the braiding and blending of funds. I understand you have a great application package now. I can't talk about it. That puts me in a little bit of a precarious position when that's my role.
Right.
And we are here, we will definitely provide with you that information. This was just a presentation to help you understand how it has changed and where it's moving to. And we are happy to give you that information. We just want it to be finalized and complete so that we're giving you the accurate information with that.
And what's been
So more to come.
Yes.
This is the beginning phase.
I only have a question. What do you need from the board? Consideration, or is it something that you're going to do?
So with just this part of, with our federal funding, it was just our duty to present. And at this point, we didn't need a narrative or anything. We were just wanting to be upfront and forth and sharing with you how that's going to look. From Sandy's presentation, what she's given you with an overview, we can give you more detailed overview with that once it is approved.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Okay, we're going to move to item number P, appointment of a board member to the Los Angeles Schools Foundation. We need to appoint or vote to approve a board member, and right now I'm going to ask who would be interested in representing the board on the foundation.
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Seymour?
with my background and experience sitting on 3 different boards that use foundational funds, I would be honored to join this board as the school board representative.
Okay, any others? Okay, I'd stand for a motion. You just make an appointment? It's not a vote?
You can certainly do that. I just haven't appointed, but you certainly could. Just move to appoint.
Okay, all right. I'll make a, well, I'd stand for a motion
Mr.
to
President.
appoint.
Mr. President, I
Yes.
move that we appoint Sonia Simoia as the board's representative on the Los Lunas Schools Foundation.
And I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Vickers to appoint Sonia Moya as a representative to the Los Angeles Schools Foundation. And we have a second by Dana Sanders. Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Seymour, how do you vote?
I'll vote yes.
And I vote yes. So Sonia Seymour is appointed to the foundation. Okay, we'll move to item Q4A, Barnes and Noble Books for PLC Leadership Cohort, Curriculum and Instruction, 24101, Title I. Dr. Osowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am wanting to have for the public's information a little bit more information about what is the PLC Leadership Cohort and why these books are important, what's the strategies, et cetera, and how we expect that to improve instruction within the classroom.
Ms. Chavez.
Mr. President, member of the board, Superintendent Chavez, and Dr. Osowski to answer that question. These are books that we are using to help build and grow our instructional leadership capacity within our principals, assistant principals, our coaches, and in turn, with those books, we are needing to build our capacity among our teachers so that we can support our student engagement. The PLC cohort, we have been working and training and working with, we have several people that are new to our district, and before we were working through a PLC process in order to help support collaborative teams that are focused on helping student engagement and creating focused on student learning. So what we are doing and what we've been doing through our administrative meetings is we are working to build that leadership capacity among our administrators. These are updated books through the PLC process that have high research, and we are wanting these books to be able to support that. As we mentioned earlier, we do not have instructional coaches at every single school anymore, and so we need to build that instructional leadership capacity among our administrators. And in turn with that, they need to be able to help lead their teachers. Now with that, as we've talked about our professional learning community, that is our school, that is our district, that is not a meeting. So we are wanting to help to provide the research and the support that builds that capacity among our teachers. Our teachers are leading those discussions, but we have to help support our administrators to be those instructional leaders. How do we do that? How do we help them with that? These are some books that we've had in the past. They are outdated. They have been updated. These are things that these books they've been bringing and sharing and bringing in their carts. So we would like them to have the most updated materials so that we could have those strategies focused on our student learning on those 4 critical questions of the PLC. Now with that, it's looking at student outcomes, data analysis, strategies, how are we going to impact student engagement? That is a big concern. We want kids coming to school, so can we support that student engagement to be able to want them to come to school? So these are all things that we are wanting to do with our teams to be able to create that instructional leadership among our.
And what is the total cost?
The total cost of that is $76,054.20.
Thank you very much. Mr. President,
Yes.
I move to approve the purchase of books for the PLC Leadership Cohort purchased from Barnes & Noble for curriculum and instruction from Title I Fund 24101 in the amount of $76,054.20.
We have a motion by Dr. Osowski to approve item Q4A, approval of purchases, Barnes & Noble, books for PLC Leadership Cohort, Curriculum and Instruction 24101, Title I. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second by Mrs. Seymour. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Seymour, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That item is approved by a vote of 5-0. We'll move on to item number Q7, approval of MOU between NMPED and Los Angeles Schools regarding Desert View Elementary for Numeracy Unlocks Math, Rigor and Professional Learning Initiative, 2025, 2026, 2026, 2027 school year. Dr. Osowski.
I would like to have a summary, please, of what this MOU provides and why is it beneficial for our one particular elementary school and why this particular elementary school was selected.
Okay, Mr. President, members of the school board, Superintendent Chavez, Dr. Osowski, a quick summary of this is it was an opportunity that was sent out by the PED. People were allowed to apply for it. The applicants, the PED chose the two applicants. We have a teacher and we also have an academic coach that is participating in this. And while it's focusing on math for K through 5 teachers, it helps to build a strong conceptual knowledge of their math reasoning. And with this, it's looking into those high-quality instructional materials, walkthrough tools that we have been working with our HQIM grant. This is at no cost to the district, and the participants are provided with a stipend. They have required sessions that they have to attend. The PED will come and they will observe, and they will provide feedback to the teachers. And this is a 2-year implementation of this. And they were selected, again, it was through the PED that selected these 2 people to participate in it. They will provide them back feedback. They will interview them, look at work samples, student surveys, so forth, just to help improve their math instruction.
And a teacher and who was selected?
There was a teacher and an academic coach that applied for it.
Were they both from Desert View?
Yes, and that is why this school is particularly.
And there is no cost to the district, so.
No cost.
And the teachers, we won't have to worry about sub-coverage, et cetera, numerous times? No. Okay, Mr. President.
Yes, Dr.
I
Osowski.
move to approve item Q, Finance Committee items number 7, the approval of an MOU between NMPED and Los Angeles Schools, specifically Desert View Elementary, for Numeracy Unlocks Math, Rigor of Professional Learning Initiative for the 25-26, 26-27 school year.
We have a motion by Dr. Osowski to approve item Q, Finance Committee items. Item 7, approval of MOU between NMPED and Los Angeles Schools, Desert View Elementary for Numeracy Unlocks Math, Rigor of Professional Learning Initiative, 2025, 2026, 2026, 2027 school year. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Ms. Sanders. Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Seymour, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The item is approved by a vote of 5-0. We'll move on to item number Q, Finance Committee item Q8, approval of MOU between Involvement and Los Angeles Schools, Century High School for Involvement Partner Program for NUPAC, Nicotine Use Prevention and Control Program, 2026-2027 school year. Dr. Osowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I'm looking for a summary for the public for what this MOU involves, especially for Century High School students and the Nicotine Use and Prevention and Control Program, please.
Absolutely. Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez, Dr. Osowski, I'm going to turn that over to Ms. Claire Toledo so she can give you information with this.
So Evolvement is a student-led anti-smoking program. It does have a sponsor out of Century High School willing to sponsor the group and work with them. You've met some of the students that have participated in this program, have spoke to you at open comment in the past. These students advocate for nicotine policy. They do nicotine danger and awareness campaigns at their campuses. We do have students from Valencia High School, Los Lunas High School, and Century High School participating out of Century High School in this Evolvement program. They do things like run booths at, back to school days or booths at lunchtime to educate their peers about the dangers of smoking and nicotine. They do social media campaigns like I don't smoke because, kind of things. And then they also advocate with principals, schools, districts about their nicotine policies. So it's a student-led group. There's no cost to the district. It's self-funding when the group meets milestones. The Evolvement Agency provides funds to the club through an activity fund.
Thank you very much. Mr. President.
Yes.
I move to approve the MOU for item Q, Finance Committee items number 8, approval of the MOU between Involvement and Los Angeles Schools Century High School for Involvement Partner Programs for NUPAC, Nicotine Use Prevention and Control Program for the 26-27 school year.
We have a motion by Dr. Osowski to approve Finance Committee items Q8, approval of MOU between Involvement and Los Lunas Schools Century High School for Involvement Partner Program for NUPAC, Nicotine Use Prevention and Control Program, 2026-2027 school year. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second by Mrs. C. Moya. Ms. Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. C. Moya, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Rickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes, that item is approved by a vote of 5-0. We'll move on to new business. Board member requests for topics for upcoming board work sessions and/or board meetings. Dr. Osowski.
I have none. I think our plate is full. I'd like to get the big ones done.
Mr. Rickers?
Same here.
Ms. Simoia?
I think with summer coming up and vacations and everything, I'd like to get on the schedule our summer board retreat as soon as possible so that I can request a PTO accordingly.
Okay.
So,
Ms. Sanders?
I have nothing.
Okay, I too had a board retreat. Superintendent Chavez and I had discussed it, and we just discussed a possible date of July 10th. I'm putting it out there. If that works for you board members, please let Superintendent Chavez know. As it's stated, we only have one board meeting due to the fact that, we have graduations and all that. So we only have one meeting during the month of May. And this summer, I believe, like you say, like it's been said, our plate's full. I see one, I think we're getting a lot accomplished, but I think one big item that we really need to work on is policies. We need to make some decisions whether we're still going to use the policy service or what our alternatives are. But there's a number of policies that we need to update, and there's a number of policies that we need to implement, and so we need to go through that process, and that'll be in the coming months. So I'll go to item S on the agenda, announcements of meetings. May 11th, 2026, there's a Finance Committee here at the conference room at 4:30 p.m. On May 19th, 2026, there's a regular board meeting here at the boardroom at 6 p.m. I believe that there'll probably be a workshop prior to that meeting on May 19th. We'll move to item T. That's it. Yes.
Just a quick note, David, that I know PTO and official meetings are published.
Yes.
But just to remind them that you will be doing community events, including graduation
On ropings.
and roving, the end of year activities. There will be a forum list.
Oh, okay. All right. It is that season for graduation and activities at the schools. We have, there's some academic awards programs going on this week. In the following weeks, there'll also be roving at Valencia, Los Lunas, and Century High Schools. And there'll also be graduations on the 18th, May 18th, and a quorum may be in attendance. Now we'll move to item T, adjournment. I stand for a move to adjourn.
So move.
We have a motion by Dr. Osowski. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jamie Sanders. Dr. Osowski, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Rickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Simoia, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jamie Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Meeting's adjourned.
Three Waters, yes.